Well, welcome to the Stroke of Genius podcast executive experience. I'm your host, Aaron Alva. On today's show, I'll be interviewing and talking with a CEO I consider a gatekeeper to your company, and my company, that will help you and I, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a sole proprietor, to protect yourself before the trouble makes its way through the door. So let's get into it. I have 30 minutes with this man, and I'll introduce him in just a minute to you.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
So in today's show, I'm going to be interviewing Dan Goodwin of CYA Consulting.
After 19 years with Sprint, Dan left in 2007 and used his corporate skills and immediately founded CYA Consulting, a coaching and business advisory consultancy company which specializes in helping business owners. Dan brings his skills to his clients and advises everyone to think like an investigator. Trained in interrogation and interview techniques, Dan assists his clients to examine all available information and make the best possible decision in the present moment. Dan's unique approach to research, engagement, and investigative techniques serve him well, as he draws upon the thousands of interviews he's completed over his corporate and entrepreneurial life. Dan believes everyone can improve their skills when it comes to research and interviews by creating a structured method to obtain information. This information, along with other observations, enables businesses, owners, and/or executive teams to make better decisions. Dan completed both his bachelor degree in human resource management and a master's degree in business administration. Dan lives with his wife in Overland Park, Kansas, and is the proud pops to 3 grandchildren.
Well, good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, Aaron. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's my wife, Rebecca, does the voiceover. She's going to do them every Friday, so.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna have to hire her to do that for me every time I'm a guest.
Well, you can have that. You consider it a gift. You can have that voiceover. I'll send it to you in the email. But we
Awesome.
only have
Thank you.
30 minutes to get to be with each other and discuss what it is you do and what services you offer the business community. But why don't you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. So my name is Dan Goodwin. I'm in Kansas City, and Aaron's voiceover role there kind of gave you my work history, and then when I left Sprint is when the real fun started, as I say, because I was there 19 years, and it's unbelievable, but time marches on. I left 15 years ago, Aaron. Wow, time flies.
Wow. You know, it's funny, I was sitting there thinking about, I told you in the green room before the show how I see you. And I see you in what you CYA Consulting does. Is really a gatekeeper. You shut the trouble before it becomes trouble. You teach the CEO, the executives, the entrepreneurs, how to ask the right questions, and how they weed out the possible trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. So my experience and how I use my formal investigative training is to really help people and I've kind of landed on the sweet spot of helping companies getting ready to scale up. And so it's helping the business owners and the executive teams to utilize critical thinking skills. That's really that's what I'm there for. I'm a sounding board. I'm also the one that will ask the questions that aren't being answered, right? They call that sometimes in psychology leaning into negative space. You're listening more for what's not being said than for what's being said, because we get this cognitive bias. We want to believe our own press sometimes, Aaron, right? We want to believe what other nice things are saying, but at the same time, you've got to really look back and make sure you haven't left a flank exposed, or you've got a litigation issue that's kind of hanging out there that could bite you a little later down the road as you move into more success.
So you teach the CEO, the HR, the whoever did this to be a gatekeeper like you to ask the right questions, and right, that's what you do basically.
Yeah. I've been called a lot of things. I don't know if I've been called a gatekeeper, but I've been called a lot of things. Some good, not so good. I am nicely kind of the in-your-face person to keep the reality checks there. So when I start working with clients, I ask them this question. When I have challenging news to deliver to you, Aaron, 1 being tickle you with a feather, or 10 being hit you with a nail-studded baseball bat, how would you like it? How would you like it delivered, right? Because there is a time factor there, and it's a shorter time period if I can inflict the pain and get it over with so we can move on toward a solution, rather than trying to, because I can tickle you with the feather, right? I can weave it in and get you up to speed and not try to hurt your feelings. At the same time, that may not be the most direct and profitable route. It surely is not the most timely route. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that, I don't know if you know this, Dan, but I ran my own company for 12 years. I ran large capacity water storage tank company, owned and operated by myself and my wife, Rebecca. And I made the mistake several times hiring somebody and going, I can't say shit on the air, but crap, I really messed up. And then that's it blowing on my face. It ends up being a drama, this salesman full of drama. So what I'm understanding is he will teach us as business owners to ask those questions. We the type of people out before they get into the company.
Yes, and here's what. So my signature teaching, training, manifesto course is how to think like an investigator and why you should. At the same time, I don't expect CEOs and management teams to become investigators. I do expect them to raise their awareness of those possible issues, to develop and listen to their intuition when they have a gut shot feeling that something is wrong. So the example I give sometimes is if I have a business owner come to me and say, I think my executive assistant or my salesperson, I think somebody is skimming from me. And I'll say, well, Aaron, that's interesting. Let me ask you this. When did you first think things may be going sideways or wrong? And they'll say, I don't know, 60 or 90 days ago. Okay, so go get a mirror, look in it, because now the person responsible for anything from 60 to 90 days till now is looking at you in the mirror. And that's a tough delivery and a tough message sometimes. And we haven't been taught how to employ critical thinking. We really haven't been taught how do you have those crucial conversations or those crucial confrontations in order to protect your assets. And by the way, I forgot to lead this in. CYA stands for cover your assets. Your audience may have heard that differently.
Yeah, thank you. I just thought about that myself. Thank you. But I think probably one ends up having a CEO. I'm a baby CEO training, but you think you have been emotional, and that what you're teaching is a way to begin to critically think about your company, not go emotional on it, which I'm sure emotions you pay for the price of being led by emotions, correct?
Yeah, here's what, and I did a post last week on LinkedIn about this, about feeling versus thinking. And while I am a big believer in that you need to address your trauma, you need to address those things that have disempowered you, my encouragement to others is that you move forward. And then, because when your brain is full of the adrenaline and the cortisol, because you are remembering an emotional trauma that is impacting your current situation, it drives out your reasoning. It leaves you in a constant state of feeling and not really sitting down and letting the amygdala have a chance, that it's preventing you from to do this continuous process in this critical thinking part. And it is it's a challenge for some people when they haven't been taught how to process that out and not stay in that state all the time. It is something you really have to discipline yourself. And my job for my clients is to help them acknowledge that, name that feeling, name that emotion, and then process it, attach meaning to that, and then move on. And it's just not as easy as saying, well, you just need to move on. And it's not. You need to work through it, and then you need to move on.
That struck me in some ways. But anyway, how do companies know they need your services?
That's a great question. So a lot of my past consulting work is a company or a management team or a business owner has come to me with what I affectionately call their hair on fire, right? They've got a reactive situation, whether that's the fraud, the theft, the employee issues, the relationship issues, IP theft, something that's happened where their systems have broken down and allowed that door to be open. So when people come to me, unfortunately, it's in response and reaction mode. My preference is that I talk to people before they need me. It's what, dig the well before you need the water, right? So anytime that I can connect with business owners and management teams where they're preparing to scale up, that's the time you really need to start asking the tough questions.
Yeah, before I can see if I came to you and I had an issue, it's emotional. I'm being reactive. I'm coming to you. I got me a hair on fire moment. But then, like you just said, the more accurate way is to do it before you have an issue. So we do appreciate that. Thank you. That's good advice. But what would be the next step? What would be the next step of this process in dealing with you? And what would be the next step that say someone is thinking about leveling up? What do they do at that point?
Yeah, so we start with where we're at. So that's typically some sort of an assessment, right? And especially if you're in a reaction mode, you have to repair, replace, react, retrain, all the R words, right? To stop the fire. And then once you get through the emotion and the activity of the disruption, then you get the assessment done, and then we move into just a transformative stage, right? We've got to transform and make sure that particular issue doesn't have an opportunity to happen again. So that could be shoring up security systems, IT security, HR training. And the challenge with all of these things I'm mentioning, that the level of company I work with that are, they're at $1 million, they're ready to go to 5 or 10 or 20. A lot of those people have bootstrapped their own business, right? They have built this. They're the founder. They've built it from the ground up. And over time, if you insist on keeping control of every aspect of a business that is growing that quickly, it can be a real challenge. And they don't typically have an investigator on the payroll, an HR person maybe on site, an employment attorney on speed dial. So they haven't surrounded themselves with those types of team members to really be able to advise them proactively. That's where that reactivity can really be your own worst enemy at that point.
Yeah, I know I was very reactive early in my business, very reactive, made some real bad decisions. So I'm going to blow stuff down. It's not good. But anyway, so appreciate what you're doing. And to train people not to be reactive, but to get their critical brain going is really what makes sound businesses. But I'm curious, Dan, as we get, before I have a personal question for you, but what's the best way to get hold of you? Tell me your social media, how they get on you.
Okay. The playground that I play in the most, like 98% of the time, is LinkedIn. That's where, for me, that's where business owners and leaders hang out. And that's really where I find my best connections. So I'm very easy to find. There are other Dan Goodwins on LinkedIn, but if you do Dan Goodwin CYA or CYA Consulting, I promise you it'll take you to my smiling mug right there right on the landing page.
Yeah, it was funny to see why when I first met you in Jeff Hazel's C-suite network.
Right.
And some of those people that kind of stand out. I noticed lately, I've been on LinkedIn, I see so much of Dan CYA Consulting and Dan Goodwin lately. So kudos to whoever your marketing person is, because you're really doing a great job at getting yourself out there.
Well, thank you. It was, I'm a little bit of a smart astronaut, and you know that, Aaron. We've had private conversations, so it's kind of cheeky. It is a pattern interrupt. It's very strategic, because one of the things we learned in investigative school was to create pattern interrupt questions, and when you do that, and you become a little bit of a shock jock without offending anyone directly. That makes it memorable. And the ones that are offended probably aren't a fit to work with me anyway. So I just chalk it up to experience and keep moving forward.
Yeah, great job. I really appreciate that. But then we're gonna ask you a little bit of personal question. Yeah, please.
Sure.
But because you had mentioned in the green room, your father had a stroke. Tell me a little about your father's experience, your stroke.
Yeah. So 6 years ago, my dad had a major stroke, and I've told people, you know this, your family knows this, Aaron. It's just not that Aaron had a stroke. The whole family had a stroke, right? I mean, it is, and my stepmom has faithfully been by her side, been his caretaker. He's had a couple of mini strokes over time. Here's what we're thankful for, and because I always want to lead with gratitude. We're thankful that he didn't lose any cognitive function. We're thankful that his speech came back to 100%. We're thankful that mobility came back 80%. So I always lead with what we're thankful and gratitude for. And then the things that are the challenges that we've had is the fact that my brother and I are here in Kansas City, and they're about 3 hours away. So that's a challenge for us to really keep track, except, we're on the phone every day. But it has been a journey. The one thing that I will say, because I didn't know you, Aaron, before your stroke. What I will tell you is the stroke has unlocked some stories and previous memories and childhood memories that I had never heard before. Sometimes Dad can forget, or not, until we recall what we talked about yesterday. but he has these vivid memories of me when I was growing up, stories that I remember after he tells me the experience, and my brother's the same way. So it has been a journey for which there's been ups and downs, been a lot of blessings that have come out of it, and a lot of challenges. And we're still facing challenges today as we work towards getting him a quality of life.
Yeah, you brought up something. I didn't want this not my show's about, but you're touching on that subject. Obviously, I'm expert at. But it's a ripple effect of stroke.
Yeah,
I call the ripple effect of stroke. Yes, I have a stroke. But my wife, my son, my aunt, I had no more friends, they all left. But it's all them. It ripples like a pebble in a lake. All of a sudden, the ripple goes out. That is you. You as a son. And son needs to deal with. But I appreciate you talking to me personally about that because it means a lot to me. But I see that almost a parallel of what you're doing. Because you're going to keep the ripple, you're going to help train and keep the ripple from happening within the company because you get that one bad hire, which I've done. And that has a ripple effect throughout the entire company. And you're going to train or teach the people within the corporation to not allow the ripples to occur. So awesome.
Right. And Aaron, we've talked about this before. One chance meeting, one relationship, one incident can go up or down and can sink a company or can propel you to the highest levels of success. And I tell my clients, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lesson. So if it's for a reason, listen, I've made bad partnership choices. I didn't follow my own advice sometimes, and I got burned for it. But there's generally a reason, and that could be short term or long term. It could be for a season, right? You could have a joint venture product, or you could have a consultant for a period of time. And then the lessons are sometimes the most challenging, and hopefully they're good lessons. And a lot of times they're challenging lessons. So people said, how did you become successful? You become successful by making good decisions. Well, how did you make good decisions? Well, I got experience. And how did you get experience? I made bad decisions. It's a circle, right? It's a loop. And the thing to do is fail as fast as you can and hopefully protect yourself as much as you can so that it's not catastrophic to your personal life or your business life.
And that's where CYA Consulting comes in, right? Really.
Yeah.
You minimize the effects of poor decisions. And I relate to that. So this last few minutes that we have together, what is the best social media? What is your social media platform? You said you're on LinkedIn. Are you also on Facebook and Instagram? What is your email? What is your email?
Well, I can give the email, Dan at CYA Consulting.services. Yes, and the answer to your question is yes. I do have accounts on Facebook and Instagram, and others. However, I was a big early Facebook adopter. Hit 5,000 friends. I really don't stay active there. I post very rarely there because you'll have to follow me. Instagram. Yes, no. Yeah. Here's what I have to make a decision where I spend my time, Aaron. And the best ROI on my time and efforts for business is LinkedIn, because that's where it's play. You know me. You know how I utilize technology. You know I send video messages to people. I make video introductions, and it's all done in the LinkedIn platform because I believe that's where the people that need me the most, that's where they hang out.
That gets better now. And in the description, I will put in the video description Dan's LinkedIn links, his emails, his website, all
Yeah.
that. So we'll get into that. But Dan, I want to thank you so much for being here. And I would say, tell me, let in this. Why should people contact you? Why should a company contact you?
Well, the companies need to call me before they need me. I'm always open, Aaron. My schedule is open 4 days a week to accept meetings, and I can give you that calendar link too for the show notes that allows that to happen. Because I'm always willing to do that 30-minute intake just to review things. Sometimes the answer that people need, they already know what the answer is. They just need confirmation and affirmation that they're on the right path. And I'm glad to do that. And I don't charge for that. If we're not going to engage, it's just my gift back and how I help the entrepreneurial community. So that's the best way. I'll send you that calendar link so you can drop that in there too.
Yeah, pretty well. I'll put that in the video description. So you heard me here, exclusive offer. But you want to get all that 30-minute intake valuation, it sounds like, for somebody. So you're ready to pull the trigger and you want to take your company to the next level. Give Dan a call, give CYA Consulting a chance, see if they fit. Dan, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate you, your journey. I'm proud of you, my friend, for going out and just kicking butt and taking names. And I'm so honored to be here and be a part of it. I'm so thankful for the thin threads that connected us. I really am, because if Teresa Rose hadn't have reached out on a blind LinkedIn mail to invite me to an event back in June of 2020, we would have never connected. Probably 99.9% chance we would have never met. So I'm thankful for Teresa, and I'm thankful for C-Suite Network.
Yeah, me too, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, Dan. Appreciate it.
All right.